you know, 1965 and 1990, New York was a pretty amazing place. It's not that way anymore. Now it's not that way. So, so that's why I'm not there. Same with Asheville. Between 90 and 98, it was an amazing place. But now it's like, forget about it. It's got so many people, it's ridiculous. And the same thing with Ithaca. When I was in Ithaca between 87 and 91, that was an amazing place to be. But now it's not so much. So I have a knack to cruise into places that are amazing when I'm there. And then when I leave, I've touched it in a certain way. And when you go back, it's not the same. So anyway, so God has something for me to do. I have no idea what it is. But right now, I'm doing a lot of nice little things for a lot of different people. And it's really beautiful. And my health is, like very problematic, but it's still, I could be dead, or I could, be in a wheelchair, or I could be blind. I could have, a lot of things, trouble. And I'm also observing and experiencing the falling apart of the medical system in our country, because I'm right there in the middle of it. So, but I'm very happy to be God's slave. Whatever God wants me to do, I do. But buddy, I'm going to let you go.
I think that's from Tom.
What?
He thinks in terms of somebody maybe a slave. Because he's like obsessed with like black people and they can't get out of his head.
No, God. I got it out of the Bible. All through Deuteronomy and Numbers, God goes on and on and on about how Israel has, I'm taking care of you. You have to, do what I tell you, and Israel never does. And that's why they always get in trouble. So to be on God's side, you let God, and to be a slave to God is not a difficult thing. It's not like being a black person and getting whipped. It's letting God take care of everything. You get your ego out of the way. You just let God take care of it. And I've been doing that now in a real focused way in the last 3 years.
Huh.
I mean, I always, organically, that kind of what happened. But now I'm conscious about it, And I'm starting to read a great deal about quantum theory and consciousness. And that whole motif of consciousness is expanding outside of what we think our material world is, to where God is with us all the time.
Right.
So anyway, I'm very happy with what's going on. And there are lots of trials and tribulations in my life, but they're so small. I mean, other people would go, and like this wondering, how do you live without a car? How do you, how can you exist on $74? Because I don't lie. And so when I filled out the form for the food stamps, I told them where I live, it's just me. This is how much I make. So they give me $74 a month. How much do you spend on food a month? I spend $74. That's it. And food that's the one thing that inflation hasn't really going down. So I only buy vegetables, I don't buy anything processed. I don't, no cookies, no cakes, no sodas, none of that, because it's expensive.
How did you only spend $74 a month when you go to all those restaurants?
Well, the restaurants I go to, I have a cup of coffee, or I have a, egg, sausage, cheese sandwich for $4. And most times, so there are about 12 different restaurants I go to, and I go to them relatively.
Like 1,000 restaurants in your videos.
No, they're just really 4 major ones, and another 8 that if I'm in that neighborhood, I'll go there. But anyway, I go to those restaurants, and I'm somewhat of a regular, and I talk to everybody, and pretty much people will buy my lunch for me. All those meals I eat, at least 60% someone buys. Because when I'm there, someone kind of walks over, I read their palm, we talk about their life, how they're feeling, what's going on, I give them some advice, and they go on their way. And then when I go to pay, they said, "Oh, someone covered that." So, like today, yesterday and today, both days, I were at places, and I talk to them a little bit. And I don't say, "Can you buy me breakfast?" They just do.
Oh.
And the people who run those restaurants appreciate my presence because it lifts up the attitude of the workers and the people who come there. This one lady who owns a restaurant said, "When you're here, I make more money." So that's how I go to those restaurants. I would say I spend, I have about $400 a month. That's my disposable income after everything, my electric bill, my insurance, my phone, my medical expenses. I have about $400. That's disposable, right? And, I was, this last summer, I was spending it on fixing my car up, like $200-300 every month. But anyway, that $400, I spend, I get $78 for food stamps. I probably spend another $100 over the month on buying food at the supermarket. So I spend about probably $200 a month on food that I buy at the supermarket that I make for myself here. And then at the restaurants, I probably spend $40 a month. Right? And that also includes the $5 or $6 of gasoline I may have to put into because I don't go to those restaurants unless somebody takes me or somebody lends me their beater. So I have a couple of friends, if they're not using their beater for work or something, they will drop it off here and I'll have it for a day or 2 or 3. Especially if I call them up and say, "Hey, I have to go to the doctor's. Can you take me, or can you drop off the beater?" And so that's the car I have. I have 3 friends who have, really old trucks, but they work. And so, like I said, God takes care of everything, right? And so I totally let God do it. I don't go out of my way to say, "Oh, I know what I'm doing. I'm going to take over my, okay." And whenever I die, I've already died 7 times. So I know dying is not a big deal. So it's, I'm not scared of it. And I've, worked I worked in hospitals, when I was, at the VA, when I was, 19 to 21. I saw probably 100 people die. I was right there, nobody else was with them. I was holding their hand when they went.
What was it like when they died? Did you see them go to heaven?
Well,
Scary.
It's an interesting thing. So death isn't, unless you get smushed in an accident, death isn't immediate. Meaning, usually if someone's going to die, it's a process that almost takes a year. Meaning, so there's something wrong with them, and the doctors try and fix it, and it either gets better, and they hit a homeostasis, kind of a balance, but they're still sick. It's like me, I have a lot of things physically wrong with me, and I've set up my medical scene here, so I got people taking care of me, and I get myself checked out, pretty much every month by a different doctor, and twice a year I have a big, where blood panels and EKGs and all that, stress test, all that kind of stuff. And I know, that's what I'm doing the next, month and a half is get my eyes operated on, do this heart stuff and a few other things, and then I'll be good to go for the summer. And but people who are dying, they are going through that, and
But that's not
and
like.
you get to a certain age too. It's like my grandma, and my parents, they had things. I was constantly taking my grandma and my parents to the doctors all the time, right? And and so they, and I would be there in the room, and the doctor, and I would be the guy with little notepad
How
taking down
often did
notes.
you? How often
I
did
took.
your mom and dad go to the doctor? Did they start in their
Oh, my mom was a
seventies?
hypochondriac. She went at least once a month.
Oh, but when did? How often? When did she start that? In her sixties?
No, no. She lived to be 103, and she started. I mean, she was always kind of a hypochondriac, but she worked in hospitals, so she knew everything about all of that. But it wasn't until she got in her 80s that, and I think it was more that she wanted to talk to that doctor, and she wanted to get out of the house, and she wanted me to take her shopping and all of that. So yes, but when she was about 99, actually it goes back earlier. When she was 89, she slipped and broke her hip, and
Oh,
that really slowed her down. And so, and they screwed up the operation, and so she didn't bounce right back. But for the next 10 years she was okay, and I was taking care of them, and we went out and did a lot of stuff and had fun. But once she hit about 95, she slowed way down, and when she was about 98,
did you?
she had issues with her gallbladder
Did
and
you
her.
help keep? Al, did
Mhm.
you? Were you the one who? Do you feel like from God that you helped keep her alive to 103?
Yeah, yeah, and my dad too to 98. Yeah, but they had it in their gene pool to live. My grandma lived to be 100, and like since I was a kid, all she would have is cheese sandwich. She'd make great food for everybody, but she would just eat a cheese sandwich on Wonder Bread and have a couple of cups of coffee. That was her diet for like 50 years. So you know um I had pretty good genes, and my parents definitely did. And they, at a certain age, my dad never smoked or drank. My mom did up until when she kind of cut it out when she was about 60. And so, and started taking care of my parents when they were 75. My mom was 75, my dad was 72, and I started taking care of them. And so I took care of them for 28 years. And so, so my dad realized, when my mom got really sick and she needed home hospice, it cost him like 3 grand a month for what I was doing, right? And they never gave me any money for that. When I would drive all the way down to Florida and take care of them for a month or two, they never gave me any money for that. They never gave me any money for anything. And my mother, when she died, my brother pretty much got all the cash and the
I
business
better
and
go.
everything.
I better go be an A-list actor or somebody like that, a rock
Well,
star.
well, I don't know. You could do almost anything, and you don't. I'm actually the living proof that you can have an amazing life on $400 a month. I live like all the people now bought all the properties around me are millionaires, and this one guy came up to me, and he had $5,000 in Benjamins, right, $100 bills. He had it in his hand, and he was waving it in my face. He said, "Your ticket. I want your property. Here's $5,000. Just sign this." And I said, "Yeah, get away from me. No." And he said, "Well, you have no money. How can you live here? You're not rich enough to live here." I said, "Buddy, I've been living here 23 years. You've only been here 4 months. Get the fuck out of my face." And
Gregory Hines from Ghost.
what was that?
Gregory Hines from Ghost.
So anyway, the bottom line was he thought he was rich, and he really wasn't. And so over the summer, he kind of watched me, and he kept telling people about me because first he was going, that guy, he's like he's like the old guy living in the woods. And then I heard he tried to go to one of the churches I go to, and one of the people there said, that guy's always talking about you, and he's saying that he doesn't understand why you're so happy, and that because you have no money. And then as the summer went on, he kind of converted and said, "Boy, I wish I could be like Al and not worry about anything." Right?
Yeah.
And he came over, and said, "Well, you lost your car. Now what are you going to do?" I said, "Just stay here and enjoy it," because he couldn't do that. He constantly had to go do stuff and run around, and he bought this nice property with a nice house on it, and he tore it down to this gigantic mausoleum, And it didn't make his life any happier. All it did was put him in debt. I mean, I don't spend money I don't have. Like my bank, they constantly say, "Well, you have great credit rating. You need a credit card." I said, "No, I don't." And the lady said, "You can't. How can you live without a credit card? That's pretty easy. I don't buy stuff I don't have money to buy." And so she thought about that, and she kind of said, "Boy, I wish I could live a life like that." Because she's overextended. She spends money on stuff she doesn't need. And I already did that. I mean, look at all the stuff I left at the school. I mean, I had too much stuff. So now I don't really buy it. I got more than enough. In my magic little garage, all I have to do is think about, I need this, and I go there and go through a few boxes, and there it is.
Well, it sounds like you have everything.
Pretty much. Because
You gotta
I let God take care of it. That's why I have everything. I let God take care of it. God brought this lady into my life, and she's very nice. But I'm not going to marry her. She don't want to get married. She's in her 30s. She's got her business. She's got her dog. She's got her nephews. She goes, "I got kids. They're my brothers and sisters' kids, and I don't. I can go and have fun with them and then go home." And she goes, "And I got you for entertainment." So God brought her into my life just so I could have, somebody, a little more fun, right? Rather than just the church people. So, and she's nice, but it's pretty obvious. I mean, we have a nice time. We have a nice relationship, but it's not forever, She's still young. She's in her early 30s, and she'll find somebody, and that'll be that. But I don't begrudge that. I enjoy every time we go out. She likes movies. We go see movies. There is a place in Johnson City that's a nice hotel. We'll go out. In Johnson City, a big college town, they have a lot of culture, a lot of music, a lot of theater, a lot of art. And she'll come get me around, 4 or 5 o'clock. We'll go into Johnson City. We'll go to a show. We'll go to a movie. We'll go to this. Go have something to eat. And we spend an evening at this nice, really fancy hotel. And then she'll bring me home. Which is nice. Back when we were really doing it, we'd do it once a week, maybe twice, right? But now the tourists are starting to come, and so her business is really picking up. And she's got another restaurant, so now she's got 2 restaurants. And so maybe I see her once, but she loves the fact that I don't bug her, I don't call her, go, "What are you doing now? What do you do?" Like a boyfriend would do. I don't do anything.
It sounds like an exciting wife.
Right. It's nice. It's pleasant. God brought her into my life and making her happy. When I had another girlfriend about 2 years ago. She was a professor at ETSU, and she was a researcher, a librarian. She was a archivalist. And so she was in her 50s, and she was a very attractive woman. And But she spent her whole life in the library. I mean, she was the archetypical library. But we bumped into each other at Kroger's and hit it off. And she loves music, and ETSU has a big music department, so we go to a lot of music. And it kind of rejuvenated her to the point where she was as high as she was going to go at ETSU, and she got offered another job in Salt Lake City, and she went there and had a really fun time there and met a guy and got married. And she's another person who, calls me up every now and then or sends me a note because she can mail me something or email me. And she said, none of this would happen unless we went out, because you kind of should
Who's
be
that?
that one. Oh, another woman.
Oh, okay.
About 3 years ago. She, like I said, she was a archivalist at ETSU, and she had been there. She went to college there. She got her master's there. She got her PhD, and she got to be the head archivalist in their big historical part. ETSU is a big history. This area has.
How many women have you had a relationship with, like in that way?
Oh, at least 50.
Oh. Oh, I'd be afraid.
And I had 5 women, between Donna and me in that 15-year period in New York City. I had basically 5 wives. I had Donna, that I actually, married with a certificate and all that. And that's somewhere in the school somewhere, along with the pictures of my grandparents getting married. Anyway, and then I met my second wife, and I was married to her, but she didn't want to get married, and she didn't want kids, and she hated the church and the state, and I was perfect. And so we had a perfect relationship until she died. And then
she hated the church.
Had 2-3 more other wives.
Oh, she hated the corrupt Catholic stuff.
Yeah, she didn't like that. She was a real Italian. She came from Rome, and she grew up like a princess in Rome. And then her father was world famous diamond cutter, came to New York and worked for Harry Whiston and got, high on the hog, and he got to be an alcoholic, and her mother got to be an alcoholic. And by the time she was 18, graduating high school, both her parents died, and she was left on the street penniless.
Oh, man.
And she made a multi-million-dollar fashion industry.
Whoa.
Nobody gave her any money. No one, she did it all on her own muscle. And she never had time for anybody. And then we met, and that was it. We were an amazing thing for about 5 years, and then she died. And then I met another really beautiful woman who was...
I thought it was 8 years that you were together with her.
Well, we were together 8 years, but really 5. That I was, basically living in her... it took her 2 years to make sure that I was a guy she could trust.
Do you think you'll be with her in heaven?
I'm still with her now.
Oh.
Meaning she's in my heart.
Do you think about her? Do you hear her? Do you think about her voice?
Oh, it's better than that. When I go to sleep, I have dreams, and I'm with her.
Oh.
And my dreams are really real. They are and I remember them all. And so I wake up in pain, and I pray, and I go over whatever dream I had that evening, and if it was a really important one, I'll grab my phone and record it, right? And so that's kind of how it works. So yeah, she's in my dreams. She's there. I see her in. She has this big coat of feathers, and the feathers are made from icicles from my tears. And so She's always in my dreams.
Yeah.
And I can, when I pray, I can go into state and I can see her and talk to her. I have no problem. But I don't hear her through the wall, or I don't hear voices when I'm in presence. But when I meditate, I can go anywhere and do anything. Right?
So it's not like it's out of your control and you can hear her voice in the walls.
No, right. It's right. Pretty much. So I don't, when I'm the only person, and I don't hear God. I talk to God all the time. I don't hear His voice. What it is, so my good example is, I was doing some errands yesterday, Monday, right? And I normally know where my wallet is, where my keys are, all those kind of things. I put them in the same place every time.
I just meant like hearing voices. I didn't mean like you had ever heard anyone or anything crazy like that.
No.
Oh, I started filming this video. Is it okay if I film you?
Well, I'm not there.
I'm recording your voice.
Okay. Well, God, you did that constantly all the time without even asking me. But anyway, the bottom line is, you kind of broke my train. Oh, yes. So yesterday, I was all over the place doing lots of different things. I had a bunch of stuff to get done and I only had my friend's truck for that day. So I had to do like 3 or 4 days worth of stuff. And then when I came home, I had to do more stuff because the sun was going to go down in 2 or 3 hours. So I had to move the stuff out of the truck and put it here and put it there. And then I came in and, when it got dark, and I made a little something, tea and a little salad, and I read the Bible and I started to write, and I got tired, and I looked around and I didn't see my keys. And I said, not a problem. I will find them, and God will show them where they are. And so I went to bed, had a nice sleep, and woke up in the morning, and again, meditated and prayed, talked to God, and I got up, and the keys weren't anywhere that I normally might have left them, right? And so I said, fine, God, you'll just show them to me. And when I said that, I basically I never put my keys in my pocket because these pants are very slick and things fall out of them really easily. And I put my hand, so that's one place I knew that I would never put it there because I put my keys in that pocket and it always falls out. So I thought, okay, I'm never doing that. And so I put my hand in my pocket and there's the keys. After looking everywhere else, I kind of looked all over the ground. I looked all the places I had sat. I looked up on my deck. I looked everywhere. Didn't find them. And I said, fine, God, you will show me where they are. And because it was cold, I put my hand in my pocket to warm my keys. And that's how my life was. I let God take care of it. I don't get bent out of shape about anything. When the people moved in here, the rich people, and just started ripping and tearing everything around me, I could have gotten really upset, but I didn't. I just constantly prayed and said, okay, God, you've got my back. I'm not going to get mad. This is a great opportunity for me. I have every excuse to get mad at these morons because they kept doing stuff to my house, my property, my road. They kept destroying things all around me. And I didn't get upset.
Yeah, no. Yeah.
And so they all left. They couldn't stand being by themselves. One ended up in jail, one ended up in a mental institution, the others just left.
How could somebody...
I'm back to this place being a nice, quiet, place. But all around me, like the ripping and tearing, my neighborhood is never going to be... this was a national forest, and these people have so much money, they are paying off the politician pays the law so they can develop the national forest. And so other areas like Actuals are a prime example. That was a Garden of Eden back in the 90s, and now it's a cesspool. And this place has certain things about it that it'll take a little bit longer than 10 years. So, I will probably go someplace else. I have no idea where, but it'll be wherever God wants me to go.
Why
And
did you say?
I pretty much told God that. Right? It's wherever you want me to go, I'm there. So that's when I say I'm a slave to God. I'm not like, you know, being whipped. I'm just not putting my ego first. I'm not, it's, my life is the we and me. My life is not about me, right? I don't have to, I've done so many things, had so many experiences. I don't have to be anything other than what God wants me to be. So I'm, letting myself, I'm getting out of my own way. And I would say, John, that is probably your biggest issue, is that you always put yourself in the way of your happiness.
Uh, uh, uh. So
Like that
you
video you made.
you
with
just
your
kind of
mom.
feel like everything will be okay, and you don't have to worry about it. Like when if it's something that you can't do anymore or something, you're like, oh,
Right,
it'll be
exactly.
okay.
I don't worry about, like, my phone does not work out here, but miraculously, we're having a conversation. Normally, I have to drive up the road to the top of the hill or climb up the back piece of my property and lie in a hammock to
But
make a phone
oh,
call.
so
But
that you
here
don't
I
have
am.
to worry. You don't have to worry about like how you're gonna pay the bills
Right,
in
exactly.
in
Because I
4
don't spend
months.
money I don't have. I
Like
don't
in
have bills.
like in a year, you don't have to worry about what's gonna happen then if you thought you were running out of money. Then if you have
Right,
enough now.
right, exactly. And I don't spend money I don't have. Period. I spend, I have my disposable income of about $400. That's it.
You don't have to.
That's all I spend.
You don't spend on credit cards.
Yes, I pay no interest. I have no credit cards whatsoever. Now I had tons of credit back in the day when I was working for the desperate lawyers and all of that, and I weighed almost 500 pounds, and I was living that corporate lifestyle. Yeah, man, I had a ton of credit cards. I had a ton of everything. But when I died, I just cut everything up and let it go. And
Yeah.
so I have a history of it. And so my banks, I have two banks I've had forever, and they constantly say, "Oh, you need a credit card. Let's give you credit cards." And I said, "No." And they said, "Well, you're such a good, we'll give you credit with only 2% interest." And I said, "Yeah, that's until I don't pay it off every month, right? You'll just, but if I, get into debt to you guys, that interest is going to go through the roof. I know what it's about. Yeah, you start me off at 2%, and as long as I just, do that, yeah, maybe, but you'll still jack it up over the years. But
Yeah.
no, I don't need to buy stuff I don't need, period. So I don't. And it takes a great deal. I don't have to worry about anything, right? Nothing.
How did you get money every month? Like you started working on like figuring out how you have enough
No,
money.
it's called Social Security, you know,
Oh,
after you're 65, so I get about, you know, a little, not quite, you know, six, seven, $800. That's it. And I
do you have to
pay my
work?
electric bill, my taxes, my phone, my medicine, a few other things, and I budget them out. They're automatically paid. I don't even have to write a check. And I basically, after that's done, I have about $400 a month. That's my disposable income. What do you spend every month?
Oh,
Probably thousands of dollars. I mean, when you get Kroger's to deliver that food up there, you probably, you know, you know, shell out $200-300 every time they do that. I mean, because that's what when I was there watching you do that, that's about how much every time they came up there was, at least $200. Meaning when I go to the supermarket, I usually spend about $35. I mean, a week, or, like, I might go to the supermarket 4 times in a month because I don't have a car. So I don't buy gasoline. I don't, I don't have the car insurance. I don't have any of that stuff. And I don't, I do have friends who lend me their vehicles, but not all the time, just when I need them. They're very good at that. But, I don't have a family who, coughs money up for me. And like when my parents died, when, they died at the worst of times. My dad, he had, all his money was in the stock market and in real estate. And they died in '08 when everything crashed to the bottom. And then my sister, my older sister, sold everything for nothing.
Oh.
And my mom and my brother got the family business because, he kind of deserved it. But I had nothing to do with any of that. But when my mom died, and she was, dying, and I kind of saw that she left my brother 50 grand. Right? I said, Mom, why'd you give him? He's got good family, but he's got, and what about me? And my mother said to me, she goes, well, Al, you've always been able to take care of yourself. And your father and I have always been very proud that you do that. You never come to us for money. You never ask for anything. You've been taking care of us for 28 years, and you never even asked us anything. Your older sister, when she comes down to visit us, she wants us to pay her, her everything back. So anyway, and my parents put all my sister's kids through college. Not because my sisters, but all their kids. My own sister had like 7 kids. So anyway, I never, was pissed off about that because I didn't care. Because I had a pretty good cash flow all those, I never had to worry about that. And so that was the bottom line of all that. And I took care of my parents, not because I thought I had to, not because I expected them to pay me the big payout once they died.
Then why do you try to say that my parents gave me money?
Well, they did.
Do you know that they made me work for 20 years?
John, they gave you a ton of money.
I had to pay it all back.
Not really, John.
Yes, I
I
did.
mean, if you're honest about it, because all those years you worked for them, right? How many years did you work? 10
My
years,
mom.
maybe?
Okay, here's what happened.
And
Starting.
didn't they give you a salary all those years that you were working for them, right? You got a salary, right?
Kind
And you
of.
got to live in one of their houses, and you got a lot of perks for working.
Yeah, but I had to work for 20 years.
Really, 20 years, John?
Yeah, well, 5 hours and 40 minutes a day for 5 days a week, 5 hours and 40 minutes a day with holidays for 20 years.
20 years, really?
Yeah.
If you started doing that when you came back from California with Danica, right?
Yeah, so sometimes I
What
didn't.
year was that? What year was that?
Sometimes I didn't work that much, and sometimes I worked more. And I added all the hours up starting in 2015. I started counting up all the hours I had worked and how many hours I worked after that. And it was for 5 hours and 40 minutes a day. That's only 5 hours and 40 minutes a day, but it's really 5 hours and 40 minutes a day, 5 days a week with holidays for 20 years. It sucked.
Your call has been forwarded to an automated voice messaging system. 5405.
His batteries ran out. Hi. His batteries ran out. I don't want that read. Hi. Now I do. I don't want look that great. I've got to lose body fat. It made me look like, I don't know. This hair looks stupid right now. Yo. Like that not look as good. Hi. Hey. So I'm gonna go. This is a low angle on my face. I tried to call him back. His battery ran out. His phone was off. Hi. Now I look normal. Try to call him back. I'd like to go be a rock star. Get in really good shape. Be a rock star.
Your call has been forwarded to an automated voice messaging system. 540507300 is not available. At the tone, please record your message. When you've finished recording, you may hang up or press 1 for more options.
Hi Al, it's John. I recorded your voice, so, and I'll let you know on the phone. It's that video when your phone must have ran out of batteries. So what do you do to feel happy? You live for God. So that's really interesting. You said that you live for God. And you don't worry about what's going to happen. Like, you don't worry about how you're going to pay your bills or something like that. And God somehow makes everything okay. That's a miracle. Because these various almost traumatic things happened to me about paying the bills, starting after I got a divorce or didn't get a divorce. We're still married, but I don't know. Sometimes I think we're divorced. But I know I love her and she loves me and we're still together. So I don't know why we have to be physically not together, because I think of her every day. So here's the thing, is that, what happened? I don't know. How are you? You trust in God. And you don't have to worry about how you're going to pay your bills or where you're going to sleep or live. And you've always had somewhere to live. It's really weird, because it gets cold in the winter time. It gets cold in the winter time, and you've been able to not freeze in the winter, even when you didn't really have heat, or the power didn't go out or whatever, and it was okay, because God made everything okay. So I wonder what is going to happen, because see, these various kind of almost traumatic things happened to me that made me have to go out there no matter how I felt and work. Or sometimes I had to work. No matter how I felt, I had to do a good job at working on homes and learn how to do it right. And I didn't want to do any of that. I had never liked doing any of that my entire life. And I had to, no matter how I felt. It was really awful. I had to learn how to install toilets myself. I had to learn how to drill into. I had to, install vanity myself in the water and stuff. And people they think that's nothing compared to what they know how to do.
You have reached the maximum time permitted for recording your message.
They've been doing that stuff since they were kids. They like doing that work on homes, plumbing, electricity, whatever it is. He's a brilliant electrician, usually the career or job people do is something they like doing since they were a teenager or a child. So I don't know what I'm gonna do. I don't know what I'm gonna do. Get my hair to look better. But I do know that what I'm really good at is films, videos, and music. Singing. I'm really good at singing. I'm good at playing guitar. Oh, that one's wrong. Okay. Okay, so what do I do here? Okay, so what do I do here? What do I do here to pay my bills? Because, see, my dad went to the army. He went to Vietnam. And what is he going to, what if he pulls the rug out from under me and says, oh, you got to get to work or something? Like, how am I going to pay my bills? I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know what I'll do. It's not his fault. I'm 46. I should work and pay for my bills myself. I don't know what I'm going to do. Wow, it looks huge. Look at that forearm. That is huge. The muscles in my legs, too. Hey, guys. Hey, how's it going? Hey, guys. I don't know. That looks like a huge, strong forearm. Hey, guys. Yeah. That's stupid. How am I going to actually pay the bills? I can sing. My legs are pretty strong. I can sing. Let's play a song. I'll show you I can sing. This is a weird tune. I'm singing a song to you about how I was talking to Al. And God's truth, God's truth. The sad thing is that the sin is true too, but it's gonna burn in the lake of fire. Do. Corey says do. Corey says do. Corey says do. Why? Okay, there's a random song. I'm not really in practice. I can be in better practice and sing better. That's how that song came out. That's pretty good. Okay, check out more videos on God and Jesus. Read the Bible. And I talk about God and Jesus on my channel, so praise God, praise Jesus. Bye. That was a video on me talking to Al on the phone. Okay, bye.